Hello again. Just a quick video to celebrate the arrival of this doll in the post. My friend Patricia Bilton sent me this surprise. It's amazing. She's done a few of these over the years. This is her fourth Doctor doll. Tom Baker, and my favourite Doctor, of course. Look at the detail on him. It's the little tie pin in his cravat and his felt hat and all of his hair. And of course the scarf that goes with him, which is big enough for me to wear. It's just perfect. This is one in a series of dolls that we've had from Patricia. She also made me a Goblin King a few years ago, and we've had an Iris Wildthyme and Panda as well, and they're just magnificent. It's just perfect. What a thing to get on a Saturday in the post, just when I was feeling slightly gloomy. It's brilliant. Thank you, Patricia. Lots of love, and lots of love to you all. Goodbye. Oops. Hello again. It's Saturday afternoon, and I haven't gone out. Jeremy's DJing in Macclesfield, but I've stayed home with the cat, and I've just been reading quietly. I finished reading Alfred Bester. This is part of my visiting the Gallant's masterworks, all the books I thought I'd read. Some of them I had read. There's a list at the back with many titles on, and I've read 15. I ticked them off. There's many more than 15. The Stars My Destination, which I just found out was the novel called Tiger Tiger, which I've just read. It's such a strange book about a quite aggressive and ignorant man who jaunts from one end of the universe to another, and chapter to chapter. Each chapter he's in a different place. There's all this corporate corruption and carry on. He's looking for the man who tried to kill him, or inadvertently almost killed him. He's in a tiny fragment of a spaceship at the beginning, and he's looking for rescue, and he's been there for ages, stuck in kind of agonizing close confines, and the ship that's about to rescue him zooms off suddenly, and his whole story is a search to find out why and who abandoned him. It's kind of satirical in that Kurt Vonnegut way, and zips about in a similar way. There's all this stuff at the end when it goes slightly crazy and graphic on the page. I love all of that. It gets stranger and stranger. There's a bit at the end where he says, this could almost be on a t-shirt, press the button and watch the robot jump, but I'm not a robot. I'm a freak of the universe, a thinking animal, and I'm trying to see my way clear through this morass. That's a great quote. And so I finished and moved on to a reread of 84 Charing Cross Road. I've got multiple copies. I bought this film tie-in version because I thought I wouldn't be able to find this copy, or indeed my other copy. I've got several. And what I love about these, and I didn't realise properly, was that there's extra stuff. I think both these editions have the second book included, The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, which I actually like even more than the first book. The first book is the story of Helene Hanff, or Helen Hanff, who is a writer in the very late 1940s in New York. She lives in quite near Central Park in a very small apartment, and she's bookish. She never went to college, as she tells us. She did have a mentor Sir Arthur Quiller Crouch, who she fell over in the library when she was 17. And from him, she gained this love of antiquarian books. She never read fiction. She loved poetry and essays mostly. And she can't find them in New York in 1949, at least not in nice copies that she can keep on her orange crate bookshelves in her apartment. And so she writes to a bookseller on Charing Cross Road in London. And the book, the first book, the famous book, is a series of letters between Helene and Frank Dole, the bookseller, in this small, pokey, but wonderful antiquarian bookshop. And it's a time when Britain is still under austerity and rationing, and she sends them parcels via Denmark of meat and eggs and tins and nylons, all the things they can't get in Britain. And so she receives letters from the women in the bookshop and Frank Dole's wife. And soon there's letters flying back and forth across the Atlantic. And it's such a heartwarming story, everything about it. And the intricacies of the book-selling trade, the kinds of books she wants, the kinds of copies she wants, her flare-ups of annoyance when she doesn't get exactly what she wants, her ribbing this rather stiff bookseller, and the fondness between them through layers of good manners and convention. The whole thing's just delightful. I've read it again and again. The second part of the book, included in these paperbacks, is The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street, which came out a couple of years afterwards. And it's the story of, I think there's going to be spoilers now, when Helene gets to go to London eventually. She goes because there's going to be a West End play based on the letters. It's a few years on, and the book is a success. She publishes the letters, and it becomes a kind of a successful love story, really. Actually, I think the second book isn't about the stage play. It's about the publication of the book. It's a few years since I've read it, but 15 years since I've read it, so I'll have to refresh my memory. But she gets to go to 84 Charing Cross Road, and here's the spoiler. It's not there anymore. It's an empty shell. She's longed to go to London, and she wants to go to the London of English literature. That's what she always said. She wants to sit on the step where Elizabeth I sat and refused to go into the Tower of London. She wants to see where the Globe Theatre used to be. She wants to see where John Donne preached in St. Paul's Cathedral. And all those things are there. But 84 Charing Cross Road isn't there anymore by the time she gets to go. In, I think, the 1960s, she's published by Andre Deutsch, whose offices are just round the corner, and so she stays in Bloomsbury and ventures out to explore this London. And they have the book launch, I think this is right, for the English edition of 84 Charing Cross Road in the emptied shell of the bookshop. And she's there in this place. Frank is long dead and everybody's moved on. All the books are gone and it's bare boards, and all the chattering literary bodies are there having white wine and talking in their usual way at the launch of her book, and she's kind of pressed to one side, pushed to one side. And I think there's a point where she goes off to a corner and sinks to the floor and tries to imagine what the shop had been like and what Frank and Cecily and all the people who used to work there, how they would react to seeing the place as it is in the 60s when she gets to see it. Very bittersweet. And all that stayed in my head from 15 years ago when I read it. So I think I'll have to read both books again. I'm almost finished with 84 Charing Cross Road already. It's such a quick read. Anyway, I hope everybody else in my book club, my local book club, enjoys it as well. In the post this morning, I got my second copy of this, my subscription, Raw Vision, the Journal of Outsider Art. It's the summer edition, and it just smells gorgeous. It smells of coloured inks and, weirdly, pencil sharpenings. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just a really beautifully produced journal. Today I've got a wickerwork basket in this room, and it had been full of stationery supplies, and it got hidden behind boxes of papers. So part of my thing about being in the study today has been to file away some loose drawings and pages in plastic covers inside folders, which is a very satisfying thing to do, a kind of scrapbooking really. And I popped away all of these drawings and things, so they're a bit tidier. But I also emptied this basket. Now it's in the middle of the floor in this room, and it's filled with comics and magazines and journals. It's also just high enough to rest my feet on when I'm reading. And the idea of having right beside me, oh look at these abstracts, a kind of lifetime supply of comics and journals makes me really happy. I'll show you the basket in a bit, given that I'm going to have to edit together. I like this fella on this poster holding up his, whatever it is he's made. He looks like a character that Vic and Bob might play. Yeah, I'll show you the basket of comics. Anyway, for now, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you again soon in the next episode. Goodbye. But before I go, as a epilogue to this particular episode, I'm giving you a Paul's eye view of my study and the basket that I was tidying up that I can rest my feet on. Here's socks on my lap, and here's the basket of comics and journals. It's Starblazer from the 80s and the last issue of Raw Vision. There's a bunch of New Yorkers that I haven't read yet. Take a Break magazine, The People's Friend, which was the old ladies magazine that my nanny used to get, that I sometimes find myself perusing still. So I used to read her copies. It's a fiction magazine. I used to read hers when I went to stay with her. Puffin Posts from the 60s. Comics going way back. Look at those Titans comics from 1975. Anyway, I was just going to show you these. Oh, Socks is waking up. Here he is. Socks, are you going to say goodbye to everyone? Nope, he's going back to sleep. Okay. See you all again soon. Goodbye.